Right now, when the user logs in into our app, we are displaying the home page. Now let's add a button here with the help of which user can add their notes. For that, open page.js. Let me copy and paste some code. Let's import this icon from React icons. Import link from next link. Here, I have added a button. When the user clicks on this button, they will be navigated to the add route. Let's create this add route. For that, inside app directory, create a folder named add. Inside add, create a file name page.js. This is our add page where user can submit their notes. Now let's try it out in our app. So this is the button from React icons. Now when I click on this, I'll be navigated to the add route. Now let's add a simple form here with the help of which user can submit their note title and description of the note. This is simple form. Here we are accepting title of the note and the description of the note. We have not implemented any logic here. We'll do that later. Let's first check it in our app. So this is the form with the help of which user can submit their title and the description of the note. Now let's create schema for the note. For that, inside model directory, create a file name notedmodel.js. Let's define the schema of our node here. Import mongoose from mongoose const node schema mongoose.schema. Our node will have a title which is of type string. Required is true. Must provide a title. Copy and paste. This will be note. Type is string. Required true. Must provide note. Also, let's add the ID of the owner who submitted this note. Owner. Let's call it owner ID, as we will be storing ID of the user we have submitted the note. Mongoose.schema dot type types dot object ID. Required is true. Must have an owner. Now let's also add a pinned property. The type of pinned will be Boolean. By default, it is false. Now when the user pinch the note, we'll make this true. We have added this to implement the pin functionality. Let's also add the timestamps. Timestamps is true. Now let's export this node. Let's first assign it to node. Pass node schema here. Let's export it. Now inside server actions, create a file name node actions. Add use server directive at the top. Now let's export add node function, with the help of which we'll get the node provided by the user and add it to our database. Export async function, add node. It will accept form data as its parameter. Declare try catch block. Now let's first get the user credentials. We can use the auth method. We are doing this because in our node schema, we have to pass the owner ID for creating the node. Now let's get the title and node from the form data. Form's title is equal to form data.get title. In our add out, we have assigned title to the name attribute, so we can access the value of title with the help of title. Similarly, for the node, we have assigned the name attribute to node, so we can get this node with the help of text node. Do the same for node. For now, let's console log it. User title node and return. If there is an error, let's console log it. Also let return error object. Could not add the node. Now let's import it in our add route. Import add node from server action / node action. This is the function that we just created here. Now when the form is submitted, we'll trigger this function. Add node. Let's try it out. Refresh the page. First node. This is first node. Click on add. Let's see our terminal. We got the user title and the node. Now let's add this node in our database. For that, let's connect with our database first. Await, connect to DB. Now let's create this node in our database. Await node.create. Owner ID will be user.id. We can get the user ID from here and pass the title and the node. Remove this console log. Import this node. Import node from node model. Save it. Now let's try it in our app. Refresh the page. First node. This is first node. Add node. So the post request is successful. Also, let's redirect user to the home page when we have successfully added the node. For that, use the redirect method. From next navigation. Okay, let's create another node and try it out. Refresh. Second node. This is second node. Click on add node. So we are redirected to the home page and the post request is successful. Let's see the nodes in our database. So this is the node that we have created just now. This is the first node. This is the second node. Okay, now let's get nodes from our database and display it in our home page. Open page.js file. Let's define a function at the top. It will be an async function. Let's call it get nodes. Declare try catch statement. Inside try block, let's first get the information of the user who is currently logged in. We can use the auth method to do that. Let's console log the user. Now let's get the nodes of the user. Import the node model. We'll use the find method. In our node schema, we have defined the owner ID for all the nodes. So we can get the nodes of the user who is currently logged in using the owner ID. Here we are getting the nodes whose owner ID is equal to the user ID. Console log the node. Return the nodes. Inside catch, just console log the error. Now let's invoke this function. Let's see it in our app. This should be an async function. Refresh the page. Let's see our terminal. This is the user information that we got from the auth method. Here we are passing the user.id. This is the ID of the user. These are the nodes that we have in our database. Now let's display it in our home page. I am displaying the title and the note. This is the note. Let's see it in our app. We have two nodes in our database. So this is the basic of reading data from the database. However, this is not sufficient for our app. We have to handle the pagination. Also, we have to implement the pin functionality. So we have to rewrite this code. Let's first discuss how we are going to implement the pagination. We'll be using search parameters. We can get search parameter here. Let me just console log it for now. Refresh the page. Right now we are in our root URL. Now if I pass a search params here, let's call it page number. We can get it with the help of search params. We can access this page number. By using search params dot page number. Right now the page number is 2, so we are getting 2 here. Similarly, if I provide page number 3, we'll be able to get it. So this is 3. Now we'll fix the size of our page. That means in a single page we'll only display 6 nodes. So the node size is 6. Now when the page number value is 1, we'll display first 6 node from our database. When the page number value is 2, we'll skip the first 6 node and display it here. Now let's implement it. Also, if we are in the root URL, by default it will be page number 1. Const page number is equal to search params dot page number. Let's convert it to the integer first. Parse int search params dot page number. If page number is not in our search params, by default the page number is 1. Remove this console log. Pass this in our get nodes function. Let's get it here. Remove console log. We'll be displaying 6 nodes in a page. So let's first declare page size. Page size will be 6. We'll get the user details. Now let's count the number of nodes that we have in our database. This will be total nodes. And here we'll use the count document method. Right now we have 2 nodes in our database, so the total nodes is 2. Let's console log it. Let's console log it. Okay, now let's calculate the total page that we'll be having. Const total page is equal to, we'll use the method shield, total nodes divided by page size. Right now in our database we have 2 nodes, so 2 divided by 6 is 0 point something. Math.shield will convert 0 point something to 1. That means we have total 1 page in our app. Similarly, let's say we have 8 nodes in our database, so 8 divided by 6 is 1 point something. Math.shield will convert it to 2. That means we'll have 2 pages in our app. Page number 1 will display 6 nodes and page number 2 will display the remaining 2 nodes. Let's just console log the total page. Let's console log all console log in single place. Total nodes, total page. Remove this. Refresh the page. I have to return nodes. Here I have only counted the nodes. For now, let's just return it as we did earlier. So right now we are in the root URL. That means by default this will be page number 1. As this does not exist, so the page number is 1. So the total nodes is 2 and the total page is 1. Let's say if we have 20 nodes, comment this out, refresh the page, then our total nodes is 20, so the total page is 4. As 20 divided by 6 is 3 point something, so the total page is 4. We'll display 6 nodes in first, second and third pages and 2 nodes in our fourth page. Let me uncomment this. Remove this console log. Now let's implement the pin functionality. For that, we have to first identify whether the pin node exists or not in our database. We'll allow user to only pin one document. So we can use find one method, const pin node is equal to await node dot find one. where owner ID is user.id and pinned is true. Right now, we don't have any pinned node, so this should return all false. Let's console log it. Refresh the page. We don't have any pinned node in our database, so this is returning us null. If there is no pinned node, then we can simply get 6 nodes from our database. Const nodes is equal to await node.find those nodes where owner ID is equal to user ID. We are limiting the node to 6 nodes. So limit page size and skip page number -1 multiplied by page size Here we are finding the node whose owner ID is equal to the user ID, and by limit we mean we want to limit the page size of node to 6, so only 6 node is fetched from the database. Then we are skipping the node using this logic. By default our page number is 1, so 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 multiplied by 6 is 0, so we are not skipping any node from our database and displaying the 6 node. Similarly, if the page number is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, and 1 multiplied by page size, which is 6, is 6. So we will be skipping first 6 nodes and displaying rest 6 node that is available in our database. Similarly, if there is pin node, then we have to only fetch the 5 node from our database. So let's do that first. Let's return nodes and total page. If there is not any pin node, below we'll implement logic for handling in case there is pin node in our database. Let me copy and paste this. Now, if the pin node exists, then we have to get the 5 nodes that are not pinned. So we can use pinned is not equal to true. This will get the node where pinned is not equal to true. Now we have to decrease the page size, as we will be displaying 1 pin node and 5 nodes that are not pinned. So page size -1. and in skip we'll skip the 5 nodes. Remove this node. Let's return nodes and total page. Also, here we are only getting the 5 nodes that are not pinned. We haven't got the node that is pinned, so let's get it first. Const pin node. We can get the pin node here, so no need to do this. Let's combine the pin node and the nodes that are not pinned. Const combine nodes. Pin nodes and spread the nodes. So these are the nodes that are not pinned, and this is the pinned one. Return combine nodes and total page from here. So this is the logic that we'll be using right now. We don't have any pin node, so this block will be triggered. We have to make some modification here. Now let's map through the node. Data.node dot map. Let's display the total page number. Data dot total page. It in our app. This is nodes. So the total page is 1, as we only have 2 nodes in our database. Just pass the key prop node._id. Now I'll add some nodes in our database. Then we'll verify our implementation logic. Now we have 13 nodes in our database. Now let me walk you through the changes that I have done. I have not done any changes in this part. Here I have created nodes component where I have passed the nodes, and inside nodes component I have passed the individual nodes in node component. This is the node component. This is just HTML and CSS. Now let's see it in our app. So this is the output we are getting right now. This is our first node. As we have 13 node, the last node is 13th node. Now let's verify the implementation logic. Let's pass page number here. Right now first node is displayed here. 1 to 6 node is being displayed in this page, so we should get node from 7 to 12. So this is the 7th node and this is the 12th node. As we have 13 nodes in our database, the total page size is 3. If I provide page number 3, we get our 13 node. So this is working as expected. Now let's implement this delete functionality. Also, before that, let's reverse the order of our node. That means the node which we have created just now will be shown at the top. For that, we have to use sort from mongoose. Here, let's first sort it. Dot sort created at -1. Copy and paste it here. Let's see it in our app. Refresh the page. So this is our first page. We are getting the 7th node. Let's create 14th node. Add node. We are seeing our 14th node at the top. Now let's implement the delete functionality. In node component, we are displaying the icons with node title and the node description. So this is the delete button. Now let's implement delete functionality. For that, open node action.js file. Let's create a function to delete the node. It will be an async function. Let's call it delete node. It will accept node ID as its parameter. Let's connect with our database first. Connect to DB. Now let's find the node by its ID. Await node. Import it. We have already imported it. Dot find by ID. Now, if the node does not exist, we'll return error message with error not found. Node not found. Now, if there is node, we'll delete the node. Await. Node dot find by ID and delete. Now, if there is some error, we'll return the error object. Would not delete the node. Let's get back to our node component. This is the delete button. Let's import delete node here. Let's wrap this delete icon inside a form. And in action, just pass the delete node. Also, we have to wrap this icon in button. Also, we have to pass the node ID while calling this function. We can use input for that. Type will be hidden. Name will be ID. And the value will be node._id. This is one approach to do it. I'll show you another approach which is more cleaner way. But let's first try it with this. For this, we'll be getting your form data. Let's get our ID. Form data dot get ID. For now, let's console log it. And return without doing anything. Let's try it out first. Refresh the page. So let me click on this icon. Open the terminal. We are getting some warning. We'll handle it later. So this is the ID that we have passed. Next.js is complaining that we can only pass plain object in server component. So we have to convert it to string. For that, we can use toString method. Let's try it out again. Refresh the page. Click on delete. To the terminal. We are not getting that warning. So now let's delete the node. Remove this return. Console log. Now let's try it out in our app. Click on delete icon. Let's see our terminal. Refresh the page. So we have successfully deleted the 14th node. Also, let's try to delete the 13th node. Click on delete. Refresh the page. So we successfully deleted it also. We don't want to refresh every time. So in delete node, let's revalidate our path. Revalidate path. Let's try it out. Let's delete the 12th node. First, let's refresh our page. We can delete. So this is working as expected. Now let me show you another way to do it. Let me copy and paste it. Comment this out. We'll directly pass the ID here. We don't have to do this. Rest is same. In Note, let's remove this input field. We'll use bind to bind the Note ID in our request. For that, at the top, let's bind it. Const. Let's call it delete with ID. Delete note from our server action dot bind. Pass null and the Note ID here. We have to convert it to string. Also, to string is optional. Here, instead of delete note, we have to pass delete with ID. Let's try it out. Let's delete this note. Click on delete. So it is working. You can use any of the approaches. Now let's implement update functionality. When the user clicks on this icon, we'll show the title and the note description to the user, where user can update their note. For that, when the user clicks on this icon, we'll navigate user to /update / the ID of note. So to do that, we have to make update route and get the ID. For that, inside app directory, create a folder name update. This is our URL name. Inside this, create a folder. And specify the folder in this format. You can name it whatever you want, but it should be inside a square bracket. Inside this folder, create a file name page.js. Page.js file is inside this ID directory, not inside update directory. Let's create simple component update page. Let's try it out. Let's pass 1. So this is our update page. Now, when the user clicks on the note edit icon, we'll pass note ID here. Now let's get that ID first. For that, we can use params. For now, let's console log it. Let's pass 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. Open terminal, So we got 1, 1, 2, 3. Now when the user clicks on this icon, we have to navigate user to the update page. So let's open node component. This is the edit icon. Let's use link to navigate user to the update route. Import link. When the user clicks on this link, we'll navigate user to /update /id of the node node.id node._id as it is Mongoose document. Let's try it out. Click on edit. So this is the ID of the node. Now first we have to fetch this node from our database. So let's create a function at the top. It will be an async function. Let's call it fetch node. We'll pass the ID from here. Once data is equal to await fetch node pass params.id. Remove this console log. This should be an async function as we are using await. By cache block, let's connect with our database first. Connect to DB. Const node is equal to await node import node model dot find by ID. Pass the ID. If there is no node with the ID in our database, then we'll return object with the error message node not found. Otherwise, we'll return the node. And if there is any other error, we'll return the error object with error message could not get the node. Now let's display the node in our page. Data.title. For now, let's see it in our app. Refresh the page. Click on this. So this is the 10th node. On this. So it is working. Now I'll add a form here. With the help of which user can update their node. Okay, now let's add form in our update route. Let me copy and paste some code. We can use this. Remove this. This will be update node. Update. Now we need interactivity when we want to update the node. So let's create a component where we'll only handle the form logic. We have to make it a client component. So let me cut this and create a file name update form.jsx. Paste it here. We are doing this because we have to add some states to handle the user input. However, we cannot place use client directive at the top in this page. So we have to create a component. This will be our server component. We will be fetching the note and we'll pass this note in our update form component, and this will be the client component. Let's import it here. Update form. Just pass our note. This will be data, as well returning the note and getting it in data. Let's check it out in our app. So this is the note. Let's populate this field. Let's pass the title and note individually. Data.title, and note will be data.note. Will be title, note, value will be title, note. So this is our note title and description. Now let's import use state. Once data, get data, use state. It will be an object of title, which is equal to the title. Note will be note. Also, let's use this instead of this. This will be data.title. This will be data.note. Now let's create a function to handle the input from user. Let's call it handle input. It will accept key and value as its parameter. Get data. Read the previous input. Key will be the value. Now let's call it here when the input is updated. On change, key will be not, and the value will be key dot target dot value. Let's do the same here. Also, we can use key dot target dot name here. As in name attribute, we have assigned title. Similarly here, key dot target dot name. This console log. Let's try it out. We should add use client directive at the top. Refresh the page. Let's see our console. We got the user input. Now let's send this to our server. For that, let's create a function first. Inside server action, open node actions. Let's create a function here. Go to async function. Let's call it update node. From data. Let's get the node and the title. Console log. Also, we have to pass the ID so that we can fetch the node from the database and update it. For that, we can pass the ID from here. Data dot underscore ID dot toString. As we can only pass plain JavaScript object from server component to the client component. Let's get this ID here. Create hidden input field here. Type will be hidden. Value will be the ID. Now let's get the ID in our update node function. Let's console log it. and return for now. Refresh the page. Note. Click on update, but we have not set up our function. So first import it. Import it inside update form. Import update note. Action will be update note. Run this. Let's see our terminal. We are getting ID null. I forgot to provide name attribute. Let's try it out again. Let's console log the ID here first. We are getting the ID. Maybe I forgot to refresh the page. Let's try it out again. Note, update it. Click on update. So we got the ID, title and note. Now let's update it in our database. Remove this console log. Let's connect with our database. Connect to DB. Let's find the note. Await note.find by ID. Pass the ID. If note does not exist, let's return error message. Note not found. Now if the note exists, let's update it. Also we have two note variable here. So to fix that, let's call it to update note. Now let's assign the value to update note. To update dot note title will be the title. If the title is not provided, it will be the previous title. To update note dot title. Similarly, for the note, await to update note dot save. Remove this return. In case there is any error, let's return the error message. Could not update the note. And now let's redirect user to the home page so the node is updated. To redirect the user, let's try it out. Refresh the page. Click here and updated. Said updated. Click on update. So we have successfully updated our node.